Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bettinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. Yes, I know, it's one more fall card. I just can't stop playing with this stuff. It's addictive. So this one today, and after this I have to get back to Christmas and other kinds of cards. So this is the last of the fall cards for a little while anyway. So what we need to make this card is that we need a base of soft suede, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. I need 2 pieces of Cajun Craze that measure 4 by 5 1/4. Then I need 1 piece of So Saffron that's 3 3/4 by 5 1/8. And then I need 2 pieces of Very Vanilla. The first is 3 5/8 by 4 15/16, and then the second one is 3 1/2 by 4 1/2, and then we need a scrap of Very Vanilla to cut out our circle here. So the idea this time was to make a wreath, and the more I worked with it, the more it almost looked too cluttered to have a complete wreath. So I used some of the copper ribbon that I've been using in these fall cards underneath the circle, and then layered the leaves on just part of the card. And on the inside, what I've done is I ran a piece of Cajun Craze through the layering leaves embossing folder, and then layered a small piece of the Very Vanilla on top of that to write the sentiment. And I'll show you what I did so this isn't too bumpy to write on. Okay, so let's just get started. So we have our outer layer, which is this piece of soft suede, and then we have the Cajun Craze. And what I've done is I layered most of this card over to one side so I'd have room to put all of the layers so they showed out this end. So let's see, on the Cajun Craze pieces, one of them I ran through the Big Shot and did the embossing, and then I'll show you what I did on that one. I used my bone folder on the inside of the embossing here to flatten out some of the embossing so that when I layered my card on the inside here, it wouldn't be too bumpy to write on. And I think we can go ahead and just adhere that and get that taken care of. A couple of these are running out of ink, are running out of glue. Okay, so this can just be layered here on the inside, and then this can be added to the inside of the card, and then we'll add a few little embellishments like I did on the sample here, and we'll just put this into place. Thought it would be kind of fun to have that embossed detail on the inside of the card. So there we go with that piece. Now on the So Saffron piece here, what the inks that I'm using for this card, I'm using Cajun Craze, Soft Suede, and Pear Pizzazz, and I'm using daubers here to get done the things that I need to get done. And so let's see, I think that's the wrong one. Okay, so what I did on the So Saffron is I did use a little bit of the Cajun Craze around the edge. Let me just open these up so I can get to them. Okay, so Cajun Craze around the edges of this So Saffron piece here. And then what I did after that was I used a little bit of the soft suede also on top of that to take just a little bit of the brightness away. So I used a little bit of the brown over the Cajun Craze here. And I realize this edge is going to be hidden, but I'm compulsive like that. So what I did was I layered this piece on here with ever so slightly a border on this left-hand side and much more of a border on the right-hand side. So we can go ahead and adhere that and lay it down. Actually, once you've done your watercoloring and you have your leaves, this is a pretty fast card. So I'm going to add this to the card base, and I'm going to leave just a little tiny border, top, bottom, and this side, so that I can have a broader border on this end. Then I took my piece of Very Vanilla and I ran it through the embossing folder, and then I used the Cajun Craze here just to go over some of the raised leaves on this card. And then I did the same thing with the Pear Pizzazz, going over some of the leaves and some Okay, and then I did go around the edges with the Pear Pizzazz. Okay, then I used the soft suede again to mute a little bit of the brightness around the outside. And then I did go over some of the leaves on the interior as well with the brown. I like the contrast that it gave me. And then I finished off with a little bit more Cajun Craze here to get a little bit of richness, if you will, in some of these leaves. And obviously on this one you pay a little bit more attention to the ones around the outside, only because the interior is going to be covered by the medallion. So, and I would keep going back and forth on the colors here and adding until you're happy with the colors that you're getting on the inside here. There we go. I'm happy with that, I think. Okay, now then, this piece can be added to the top of this, and what I did on this one is I lined this edge up on this side, covering the yellow on this side, and just leaving the edge open on the other three sides. So I'm going to go ahead and add this piece to my card front. On this, because it's embossed, I use lots of glue. Let's see, do I want it this way? Or do I want it this way? I think I want it this way. Okay, so I'm going to set this right on the edge over the yellow and then getting a border top to bottom, and on the right hand side about the same. There we go. That's pretty just by itself. So that's the piece here. The next thing I did was I used my 2 1/4 inch punch, and I punched a large circle out of a piece of very vanilla scrap, and as you can tell, this is now just awfully bright compared to the rest of the card. So I'm going around the edges of it with Cajun Craze and with the soft suede. And I'm covering the inside a little bit with just a little bit of the soft suede so that it looks like it goes on this card. Okay, then I have Sending Your Wishes Your Way, and this is from the Butterfly Basics, Sending Wishes Your Way. This one fit nicely in this little circle here, and I did this in soft suede. Let's see, where's my Pierce mat? Since it's a photopolymer, I want to make sure I give it some support. So, centering that and getting a nice image there. I thought that was really nice because it makes this card very versatile. Because then you can put Sending Wishes Your Way on the outside, and on the inside of the card you can put Happy Birthday, Thank You, Thinking of You, whatever's going on, even a sympathy card. That would make a beautiful sympathy card. Okay, so here we go, and I raised this on dimensionals, and I used our pretty copper ribbon. I'm almost out of copper ribbon on this little roll, and what I did, as I've done on some other videos, is I just opened up the ribbon so that I could tack it around the back of the circle. So what I'm going to do is, using my silicone mat, I'm going to put just a little bit of snail right along the edge of the back of this circle. And then I'm going to place this ribbon on the back of the circle and work it around the edges. Then I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of my circle here. Next was I used a whole bunch of leaves that I cut with the seasonal, what's it called? The seasonal layers thinlet dies. And I used the smallest of the oak leaves, and I cut a whole bunch of these little small oak leaves. And then I want to give a shout out to one of the viewers on my YouTube channel, Linda Dickinson, who wrote on her comment asking why I hadn't used our new leaf punch to cut out some. And I thought that was such a brilliant idea. I don't know why I didn't think of it. Thank you, Linda. And so I cut out a whole bunch of leaves for this card using the leaf punch. And so I have way more than I need here. And I thought I would keep these handy. I use every last scrap until there's nothing left. But I can get a partial leaf out of here and so on and so forth. I don't like to waste any of this after I put that much effort into coloring. So I think I've got all of the leaves that I've cut here, and I cut a few of the ones from the copper paper, and I need to cut a few more here using the punch from my watercolor paper. So I thought I would cut those here, and we got that pretty gold sparkle on them, and I'm going to try and get several of them cut from here. Let's some with the orange. There we go. I think that should do it. That, along with the copper leaves that I've got here and the little oak leaves, I think we've got enough to do what we need to do on this card. Probably more than enough. But this is one of those things where I like to have an abundance. So I'm going to close up the green ink, and I'm going to go ahead and go around some of these leaves just to give them a little bit of an edge. And I wanted to show you doing that. And for instance, this leaf didn't end up with any orange on it. So if I go around the edges with the Cajun Craze, I can also put a little spot of orange on it and fix the color. And so I'm going to do that with the leaves here that I've just cut out and punched out. And I will be back in a second. I'm back. And so I have gone around the edges of the leaves, and then while I've at it, I went ahead and added some veining to the leaves. And I think you can see there, and I've showed this on other videos, where adding a little bit of veining to the leaves helps them kind of look more lifelike. So I've added some veining to those, and I've done it on the copper leaves as well. And I thought I would show, saved a couple of these for the end. Now I'm using my stylus from my scoreboard, and I'm using the small end of the small ball here, and I am just adding some veining to the leaves here to help them make look a little bit more lifelike. So I think you can see here the effect, and I like the idea. It also gives the leaves a little dimension. On some of these I've turned them over and had them go back the other way because it kind of curls them in, and I think some of them curled in and some of them curled back look pretty good. So on the copper ones, it doesn't take much to add a little bit of veining to the leaves where it's appropriate. So there you go. And I think that really does add to how lifelike the leaves look. All right, so now I think we're ready. So we're really ready for assembly. So let me move a couple of these things out of the way and close up my ink pads. So what I did was I started with a leaf that was one of the oak leaves and put it down here along the edge, and I used a combination of glue dots and wet glue in order to make everything stick down. So I'm going to start with this one and put a glue dot underneath one edge here and put it right here on the edge of my circle. And I'm going to have to add glue dots underneath the leaves and the ribbons periodically. I don't want everything to be flat, but I do want things not to all lift up and curl around the circle. So there's my first one, and then I'm going to put one of these copper ones, and so I'm going to put a glue dot around, let's see, probably this one. And set that right down here. And this one looks like it's going to, well, actually it doesn't go outside the edge of the card, so maybe I'll just leave it. And then I'm going to alternate some of these as I put these around the card here, and I want it to be very full. So I'll just keep doing this and I'll come back in a flash. All right, so there we have, I guess I mostly used glue dots, didn't I? There, I think, and the other thing that you can use in here are some mini dimensionals, because I don't want these leaves to lay down flat, but I don't want them completely flying away either. So I will just selectively add a couple of those dimensionals around the card. All right. So the other thing that I added to this, I added a few of these, the glitter enamel dots. And I found that, for instance, where I started here, it felt like this little limb was sticking up a little bit too far. So I trimmed it back and then stuck one of these bright yellow enamel dots right there, kind of to anchor that corner, and then decided that, you know, putting a few of them around the card added just another bit of sparkle, which I kind of liked. Maybe down here, and then maybe another small one over here. And on this one, I ended up putting one on here, and I have to be honest, that's I got a little smudge in there, so I put that one. I'm not very happy with where that one ended up. I think one there looks good, but maybe off to the side. So there we have that. And then on the inside, to continue the dressing of the card, what I did was I added a few of these enamel dots in varying sizes. I put one of the largest, darkest ones here in the corner, and then went down a size, and then down yet another size. And just to add a little interest and tie the front and the outside, inside and the outside of the card together. So this is now completely ready to go on the front of the card. And because I've already added all of those embellishments, I'm going to use wet glue to adhere this to the front of the card. It also gives me a second to kind of wiggle it around. So once again, ever so slightly a border on this right side, and then more of a border on the left. And there we have it. I think I need another mini dimensional or two just to keep these leaves from flying around. Going to stick one right under here and catch two of the leaves, and that might be enough. I may need one more down here. But that is the project for today. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching my YouTube channel today. I do appreciate it. I love hearing from you. I love hearing all of your comments. I had another lady who wrote to me, and because I was saying that something was too pink, and she said actually in Cajun country where she's from, that pinkish color is quite often found in the water that is when you boil the crawfish and the shrimp and everything else. So I guess it can have a little bit more pink than I was planning on. So there's the cards for today. You'll notice this one is a little bit lighter, and this one has more of the Cajun Craze in it. And you'll have to tell me which one you like. I kind of like both of them. I think, you know, when you do this kind of a technique, very rarely do you get the same look 2 times in a row. And so that's it for me for today. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Or you could join my team. All of the details are below for joining my team, including my telephone number. Please feel free to give me a call. I'd be happy to chat with you about it. Anything you see here can be purchased on my 24/7 shop, which is www.albettinger.stampinup.net. The prize draw for this month is the Merry Little Labels bundle, which is a stamp set and the label punch. And so that's it for me today, and I'll be back soon with more projects and more cards. Bye.